Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Hope Watts, board certified family physician, health coach, speaker, author, and lifestyle expert. I help mid career women find the right foods and the right fitness so that they can have the energy and the lifestyle they've always wanted. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, today we are going to talk about health and wellness. So we are going to wait a few minutes until everyone can collect themselves and join us. So today, this week has been unusual. Hi, Elaine. How are you? Good to see you today. This week, the impeachment trial was going on, and I was just amazed at how the people who were protecting the Capitol were able to prevent any further death and other critical activities that could have happened as a result of the insurrection. I am relieved to know that not more lives were lost, but the potential was there. Unfortunately, I'm not sure how this is going to end. Hi, Pam. How are you? Glad you're here today. I'm not sure how that's going to end, but it was serious, very serious. And they made mention that other forces that take over governments usually happen at the switching of different, when one candidate leaves and another candidate comes in to be the new president. So we do need to stay in prayer for our country and our government because that was a very serious incident that occurred. So I am going to start now. Now, before we had been talking about heart disease. We did talk about heart disease about 2 weeks ago and what the ramifications were. But what we want to do now is talk about health and wellness. I think everybody thinks they're healthy, and they may be, because they get up in the morning, they go to work, and they're participating in things that they need to do. And they don't, they're not going into the hospital or anything, but it means a little something different. And everybody seems to have a little different take on it. So health is a state of physical, mental, and social well-being, not merely the fact that you don't have any illnesses. Wellness, on the other hand, is participating in healthy habits on a daily basis to attain better physical and mental health so that you're not surviving, you're thriving. So you realize that you feel the best that you've ever felt before. Health does focus a lot on diseases, and I think I focused more on health, and so far. But you may be physically fit from disease, but you may have some emotional issues. So that's a part of wellness that we don't think of. We think that, hey, if I'm physically fit, then I'm okay, but there may be some emotional illnesses. So we are not necessarily completely well in the definition here. Wellness addresses all aspects of life, so you can always improve upon the state of your health. And we want to emphasize that just because you don't have a major illness, it does not mean that you probably have the best wellness, and you'll see why as we go on. Physical wellness means that you're choosing specific things to put in your body, things that are advantageous, and you program yourself to make sure you're putting the best things you can in your body. And exercising, bringing the exercising in, drinking the water. But it also means there may be other things that you may be deciding not to take. For example, smoking. Some people, as a part of wellness, may decide they're not going to smoke anymore. Reducing the amount of alcohol. And in many places, drinking as much as you want, that's fine, but long term, that may have some detrimental effects on your health. Another thing that people don't recognize is that taking in a lot of sugar has detrimental effects also. And that's one of the things you may want to start to think about and reduce the amount of sugar you take. Regular exercise. Many people don't do any exercise at all. The most famous thing that I hear from my patients is, well, I'm at work and I walk all day. Hello, Tiffany, how are you? Good to see you. Yes, it is hard to get off sugar, but if you stay with us, we're going to have a sugar challenge later on, and we'll see how you do. But it's always good to do it a little bit at a time. The other thing is getting enough sleep. I can't tell you how many times people just do not sleep at all. Hello, Tiffany. Good to see you. They don't get enough sleep. And so they get up grumpy, they're irritable, and people say, oh, what side of the bed did that person wake up on? Because they're probably not getting enough sleep. And maybe not paying attention to the reasons why they're not getting enough sleep. Maybe they're up watching TV just before they go to sleep. And it is known that watching TV or on your cell phone or on your tablet can keep you awake because the light in those tablets trigger an area in your brain that just keeps you wide awake. So that could be one of the reasons why some people aren't sleeping. Mental health, and listen to this, mental health is the absence of mental illness, and mental illness is anxiety, depression, or panic disorder. But emotional wellness is the practice of increasing your overall mental health and emotional well-being. So that may mean, making peace with other people in your family, so you don't hear the drama or anything. Setting boundaries in certain relationships. Some relationships you have to have, and maybe the person just pushes you too much and you've decided, nope, this is it. We're not going to do that anymore. Learning to say no when you feel overwhelmed. And that's happening quite a bit with jobs now because of COVID. Some people are not hiring any more people. And the people who have left, for whatever reason, they're taking on the brunt of a lot of extra work. And I was watching something on TV the other day, and this lady said, usually she would work and work and work so she could help her boss out. But now, because her daughter, she has to be home for her daughter, she tells them, look, I can work with it, but I can't do it all the time. The other thing about mental health or emotional wellness is being positive, staying around positive people. Everybody knows one person that always has something negative to say. The sun could be shining and it hasn't shined in a long time and they have something negative to say anyway. Spiritual wellness. Focusing on spiritual wellness is just as important as taking care of your body, because that's another measure of wellness. Engaging in church activities is very good for some people, and most people. Fellowshipping with other persons at the church is very important. Having a meaningful relationship with God has been shown over and over again to help people, especially if they encounter a very severe illness. There have been research to show that they tend to do better because they're praying and they have other people praying for them. Journaling is also something for people to do because then they can see how they've grown in their faith and with their wellness. Occupational wellness. Now, this is very unusual. Not too many people categorize occupational wellness as a type of wellness, but we all know that there are times when we're on jobs that we really don't like. And sometimes, just going in there's so much drama, you just really don't want to be there. Or you're there and you feel you should have been promoted. and you have the same qualifications as someone else, and you feel like you were passed over. So sometimes that requires a lot of soul searching. It may mean changing your job, but during COVID, it may be very difficult to do that. So you may have to think about some other ways to cope with your job. Changing careers, sometimes that requires training. And during this time, we may not be able to get the training that we need because of COVID. Hi, Jillian, good to see you. We're talking about health and wellness today. We may not be able to get the training we want, but what we can do, since we're in the COVID season, is plan what we're going to do after COVID is over. It may be easier for you to have that time to go and get training for a different job. And the other thing is, with your boss or with other people at your job, you may want to sit down and talk with them, because some people don't understand that there are boundaries you need to, be respectful, speak in a good tone, not speaking down to people, and sometimes you need to have a discussion with them. So we've just talked about some of the things about wellness, things for you to think about, but now we're going to talk about things that you can implement in your daily activities to improve your health and wellness. Drinking water. I know that every time I say that, people are like, oh, I hate water. It just gags me, blah, 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 blah. But it is good for your health in many ways. Some people recommending like you drink water within the first hour of getting up because it helps with digestion. Excuse me. Sometimes it actually boosts your energy. And that's really good if you're going to start exercising. And from what I've read, drinking water, like cold water, it increases your metabolic rate. And that's the rate that you burn up calories. And sometimes 90 minutes after you've drank that water, your metabolic rate is higher and you're burning more calories. So it does have some advantageous things maybe you didn't know about. Physical activity or exercise. We've talked about that before, and we've gone into a great deal about different types of exercise, but we're talking about starting to implement some things in your daily schedule so that you're getting that exercise or that movement. And a lot of people recommend at least doing 10,000 steps a day. And now I have a phone that will count the steps for me. And sometimes it beeps me to let me know that I haven't made enough steps or something for that day. But that's a way of keeping track of how physically active you are. Some people have a Fitbit, and the Fitbit will alert them, you're supposed to be doing 250 steps per hour. That's something new that I found out recently. So there are lots of ways to stay active. And now, sometimes when we say staying active, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to lose weight. We're just trying to keep our body moving. Losing weight may require a little bit more than the 10,000 steps. Also, if you do 10,000 steps and you're doing pretty well right now, go on to 15,000 steps. Now, they estimate that the 10,000 steps is about 5 miles, 4 to 5 miles. So the 15,000 steps, easily about 6 miles. So you can actually keep track of that from day to day. Also, tried and true, don't take the elevator, don't take the escalator, park further away from the door of your office so that you're getting some extra steps in that way also. Any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat and we'll answer those questions. Food choices. Now this can be very tricky because there's so many food choices in the US that sometimes we think they're healthy, when in actuality they are not. Healthy food, usually you don't find it in the perimeter. No, I think I got that wrong. Usually you want to have the fresher the fruits and vegetables, the fresher your food, the more nutrition you're going to have. Inside, there's a lot of food that has been reproduced, reprocessed, given a catchy name, and they may not have any nutritional value. So I'm going to stand guilty. I eat chips, and I've had to cut back on my chips because there's really no nutritional value in there. But fortunately, I do really eat a well balanced meal. I do try to have lots of vegetables on my plate. And the recommendation is to really have a half plate of vegetables, or you can have have a salad with it. And try to have whole grains, and at least for women, 3 ounces of protein. That can be fish, it could be chicken, it could be beef, pork, or turkey. And so that way, now I have a question here. The question is it better to drink room temperature water versus cold water? What I understand is that if you're drinking room temperature water with your food, it will help with digestion. If you are drinking cold water and you're not eating, that is okay. Because a lot of people exercise, and most of the time they should not have eaten anything. So the cold water is okay if you're exercising and you're not eating. But I understand that room temperature water or even warm water is better for digestion. I hope that answers your question. So we're talking about food choices, and so the other side of that is that's for home, but when you go out to eat, how are you thinking about your food? Are you looking for healthy choices when you go out to eat? Most places do have at least a salad there, and a salad with some protein. So those would be better choices than the burgers and the fries. Sometimes that can't be helped. Say if you're traveling down or you're driving somewhere and that fast food place is the only thing you have there, then by all means eat. Don't starve yourself, but try to make sure that the majority of times you're eating wholesome foods and you're adding fiber to your diet also. And that means that you're not going to get as hungry as before. And that's the problem with a lot of the foods in the American and other diets. The food doesn't have any fiber, so we get hungry faster and we just eat more. So be sure that you're putting fiber in your diet. And the other thing about fiber is you've got to drink more water. So if you start drinking water, you have the fiber, you'll be okay. Another thing is probiotics. I'm wondering how many people take probiotics. They are excellent for improving your immunity because the antibodies that get produced are in the gut, and the probiotics help with that. Many times we recommend probiotics, especially if you're taking antibiotics, and because some people get yeast infections. But probiotics, by and large, are really good for your gut health, and it helps with your immunity. So I usually recommend at least 3.5 million units with a glass of water each day. You can buy that and most places have them, at the drugstore or at the health food store. But you probably want to have a probiotic on board. A positive mindset. We've talked about mindset before, but one of the quotes I said, the only difference between a good day and a bad day is your attitude. I hope not. But cultivating a positive mindset by recognizing negative thought patterns. Sometimes we're not even aware of all the thoughts that we're thinking. In one of the lectures, we talked about how many negative thoughts we might have on a given day. That can include the estimate is about 60 to 80,000 negative thoughts a day. I was so shocked. I couldn't believe I was that negative in my thoughts. But sometimes you're not even aware of the thoughts you're thinking. So one of the things that we recommend you look at is some of the thoughts that you're thinking, um, and try to use positive affirmations. And you can find them online, or you can make your own up, um, to combat some of these negative thoughts. Because the negative thoughts come from really a lot of the stuff you keep around you, like the TV, and like during the campaign for presidency. There was so much junk going on. I couldn't take it anymore. One night I stayed up, and I like Rachel Maddow, and I listened to her, and she had an unusual time. She had a 2-hour program. I couldn't sleep that night. I woke up grumpy because I didn't sleep. So it wasn't even worth it for me in the long run. So I had to cut back on hearing all that negativity. So saying positive affirmations can counteract some of those negative thoughts. Another thing is getting enough sleep. We talked about that a few minutes ago. And the recommendation is 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night. But that's not the whole, that's not everything you should be concerned about. The sleep that you should get should be restful, high quality sleep. So when you wake up in the morning, you are refreshed. As we said before, a good night's sleep helps your attitude, and it helps you cope with the day. If you are, if you're going into work and there's someone who always has some drama going on, you're better able to cope with it than, just hearing people talk about negativity and the gossiping and all that kind of stuff. The other thing is downtime. Downtime is just, people say chilling out. You're not doing anything, maybe watching a TV program or so, and you're just recuperating, or you're doing something you like doing. Some people have their own hobbies that they get involved in, and that's a way for them to get their mind off things. And sometimes these days, sometimes there's so much going on, there's tragedies going on. Sometimes we just have to have that time so that we can rejuvenate ourselves and really get a perspective on who we are and where we're going to go. So I hope that these things on wellness have helped. And in the next few talks, we'll go into a little bit more depth about other wellness things that we need to be concerned about. And as we said, wellness means we're optimizing our health right now, so that in actuality, later on, we can be our best selves. Yes, probiotics have been and usually are prescribed by gastroenterologists, but in the over-the-counter, there are lots of probiotics that people can purchase, and there's a large market for it. Because I take some myself, and it helps boost your immunity also. Thank you for that comment, Pam. So, getting back to making sure that your mind is healthy, you're not worried about things, because worrying is not going to help anything. As I tell my patients, think about ways you can solve certain problems and go from there. Some problems you're not going to be able to solve, and you're going to have to just leave it in the Lord's hands and see how He solves it for you. So if there are any questions, I'm open to taking more questions if you have any. The question is, any age? I'm assuming that's for probiotics. Yes, there are probiotics for children that you can find. You may have to talk with the pharmacist to find out what his recommendation is. Or if you have a child under 5, you may want to talk with their pediatrician. But yes, probiotics are excellent for helping with immunity and having good bacteria. Good bacteria helps with lots of, especially like viral infections. And as we said before, if you're taking antibiotics, it prevents you from having a yeast infection. So, any other questions? And Ms. Bond, yes, it is hard to get off sugar, but when we do our sugar challenge, we will give you some tips on how to do that better. So I hope this has been helpful and it's giving you something to think about. I mean, are you drinking enough water per day? At least 8 to 10 glasses. Start with that. That is enough to start you on your wellness journey. Are you exercising? You're welcome, Pam. Are you getting in at least 10,000 steps a day? That is just one, I mean, you may just start with 5,000 steps. That is still going to help you on your wellness journey. So I am Dr. Hope Watts, board certified family physician, health coach, speaker, author, and lifestyle expert. Can you drink too much water? Yes, you can. It is rare, but the only people that I've seen drink too much water are people who may have a substantial mental illness. And it can be life-threatening because their sodium level just drops very low. And we tell them not to drink as much water, but it's very rare, unless they're in the ICU and something else is going on with them metabolically, but it doesn't happen that often because many times we just stop drinking water. So, but it's very rare, and it's only for people, the ones that I have seen are people in the ICU, or they have a severe mental illness that, they're just thinking about doing it all the time. That's just what they're kind of bent on. I've got to drink water. I've got to drink water. No matter what people say, they just feel like they have to drink water. So, yes, you can drink too much water. It doesn't happen that often. But most people are not going to drink that much water that they're going to get sick or anything. But I gave you a low estimate on how much water to drink. Some people are saying even more than that. So like 64 ounces are some recommendations. So nothing's going to happen to you if you drink 64 ounces of water. If you can't keep it, you're just going to go to the bathroom and get rid of it. So you'll be okay. You'll be okay. Any further questions? Okay. So I wanted to alert you to the fact that I have a book that's being published. It hasn't been published yet, but it's coming up. So I want to keep you abreast of that. And I'll let you know when it's time to be published. So have a wonderful day and start putting some of those lifestyle or wellness changes that we talked about. Because, there's always room for improvement. Of course, I know because of my chips. So thank you for coming, everyone. And I hope you have a wonderful week. You're welcome, Jillian. Yes, I will make sure you know about my book. Bye-bye now.